welcome back, my little 6th grade geologists. Welcome to Minerals, Part 2. Now we're going to talk about how minerals are identified. So we talked last time about what minerals are and what the different characteristics are that you have to become a mineral or be a mineral. And today we're going to talk about how they're identified. So the ways that we can identify one mineral from another. So let's get started. We're on page 91 in our books. So, how are minerals identified? That's the new big blue question that we have. Geologists have identified more than 4,000 minerals. Telling these minerals apart can often be a challenge. Here's our blue key. Each mineral has characteristic properties that can be used to identify it. So today, we're only going to focus on 3 of them. It's all kinds of different properties. But we're only going to focus on 3 today. So I'm going to go to my notes again. And as you can see, I have the date today. And see how I did this last time. My next one is going to be mineral identification. Because, like I said, there's all kinds of different ways to identify these minerals one from another. So my big bold heading is going to be mineral identification. And the 3 that we're going to focus on today are color, luster, and streak. So let's start reading. Color. Both minerals shown here, are the color gold. But only one is the mineral gold. In fact, only a few minerals have their own characteristic color. So first, I'm going to put a number 1 because we're going to number these here. So color is the first way we can identify it. Now, looking at this, any ideas which one you think is actually gold? I know, it's kind of hard to tell. It'd be easy to say, oh, well, number B's got to be gold, right? Well, you're actually wrong that time around. Letter A is the one that's gold. This one right over here is actually what gold looks like. This one over here is called pyrite, which is actually sometimes called fool's gold. It looks golden, and you would think, oh, that's got to be gold, but it actually isn't. So let's move on to the next one. The next is streak. The streak of a mineral is the color of its powder. Although the color of a mineral can vary, its streak does not. However, the streak color and the mineral color are often different. For example, pyrite has a gold color, but its streak is greenish black. So remember how I said that this one right here is actually pyrite? Well, it looks gold, right? It actually, according to the text, has a streak that's greenish black. That's weird. So let's put that next one down. Next is streak. And streak, from our notes, is the color of a mineral's powder. So how do we find streak? Well, to find streak, you actually take it, what you can see here from this picture, is it has like a little plate here, and this is actually a ceramic plate. And what you do is you take the mineral and you rub it across the ceramic plate, and whatever color comes off as powder is the color of its streak. So let's move on to the last one. So maybe actually before we move on, let's add one more thing to our streak here. And I'm just going to add that the color of a mineral and its streak color are not always the same. And I'm going to put an example. So the example that it gave us is pyrite has a gold color, but a greenish black streak. And you're actually going to get the chance to work with pyrite later on. You're going to get a chance to actually look at it and work with it a little bit. So you're going to see this yourself. So let's go back. Last one we're going to talk about, oops, that's not it. Last one we're going to talk about here is luster. Now luster, the word luster might ring some bells for you because we've actually talked about luster before. When we were talking about metals, nonmetals, and metalloids, we talked about how metals have luster and nonmetals don't. Do you remember what luster was back from back then, way back when? I know it seems like a long time ago. So when we talked about luster, we said that metals had luster. They were shiny. So that's kind of the same idea with minerals, but we're going to take it a step further with minerals. Luster is the term used to describe how light is reflected from the mineral's surface. So remember, when we talked about metals, we said they were shiny. What makes them shiny? Well, the light reflecting off it makes it shiny. It makes it pop out to us. So here, when we talk about luster of minerals, we're talking about the way the light reflects off the mineral surface. And there's all different kinds of ways to describe the luster of a mineral. So, for example, minerals such as galena that contain metals often have a metallic luster. Quartz has a glassy luster. Other terms used to describe luster include earthy, silky, waxy, and pearly. So let's put that down first. So luster is how the light is reflected from a mineral's surface. If you're wondering why I keep looking over here, I have my own little notes over here that I'm looking at. So, now that we have what luster is, let's look at some of the words we use to describe luster. So describing words for luster. So what are some of the examples that it gave us before? It has metallic, glassy, earthy, silky, waxy, and pearly. Metallic, glassy, earthy, what are the other words? Silky, waxy, and pearly. So there are actually a lot of other words that we use to describe luster. And luster can be kind of a difficult thing to think about. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pull up a luster identification sheet that was made by the student teacher that was in Mrs. Schaefer's room last year. And it kind of gives you a better idea of what we're looking at. So here we have metallic, and it has having the look of a polished metal. And that's what this is here. This is gold. And it has kind of a metallic look. It looks polished. This is resinous. And resinous having the look of plastic, not quite glassy. So this mineral here kind of looks kind of plasticky. Like it's not quite glassy, it's just kind of that in between. This is vitreous. Vitreous means having a glassy look. So this is quartz. So a lot of the crystals that you see that look really glassy, like you see it kind of on gemstones and stuff like that. It looks real glassy, real shiny, real nice. That's called vitreous. So here we have pearly, and pearly is pretty self-explanatory, right? It's just having the look of a pearl. Pretty self-explanatory. Waxy is having the look of an oil-coated substance. So waxy is another thing that's pretty self-explanatory, and so is silky. I mean, those are pretty self-explanatory things. You know what they are. One of them, waxy, looks kind of greasy and gross, and silky just looks very smooth and silky. And then the last one is earthy. Earthy is also very self-explanatory. It's just looking like clay or soil is what the example is here. So what I will do for you guys is this luster identification is actually inside your share folder. I'm just going to borrow it from Mrs. Cooper. I'm going to borrow it from her, and you guys will be able to see this. So when you guys are doing your luster lab here next on the to-do list, you'll get a chance to look back at it and see, okay, this one I think is metallic. What does metallic mean? You'll have an example. So with that, we are done reading about color, streak, and luster. The next step for you guys is that you have your color, luster, and streak lab that you need to complete. And I will see you on the flip side, little geologists.